What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
I think our guests tonight enjoy the intro music. They were dancing in the green room like there's no tomorrow. That's awesome.
Oh, they're killing it backstage. Killing it, I tell you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Dead Air Live at the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. It is our live Sunday night show. With us for the next 2 hours in and around the topic of the paranormal. Now, we are continuing our spotlight of paranormal teams. Last week we had Sherry De Benedetti. Next week we have the Ghost Sisters. But tonight we have an incredible couple out of the frozen tundra known as Northern New York. And they're going to be joining us here in just a few minutes, but some things to cover also. First of all, we are simulcast on KGRADB.com, KGRA on Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter, the Global Radio Live. YouTube, which is what we are broadcasting from visually for our KGRA members, is at Dead Air Nation. Also on Facebook, you'll find us under Dead Air Full Spectrum. And Twitter's handle for us is dead_spectrum. Finally, but certainly not last, is our Patreon account, which is Dead Air Paranormal. Patreon $3 membership. And tomorrow should be interesting because Ken has, again, been wrongfully accused, but we won't go into detail tonight. That is for our Patreon members and the things that are going on, again, in the drama known as the paranormal. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. Don't forget to hit that subscription. Also, the thumbs up for our content. Very important. I've noticed that even on the TikToks that I have, there are 3 specific ones that are just literally going viral because people hit it, the thumbs up, they click on it, they hit the like, and that just perpetuates it down the way. So if you guys are enjoying the show, hit that thumbs up for sure. And finally, Ken, with the cue, the reminder bell for upcoming content. He's lost his bell. There we go. But yeah, definitely important for you guys to do that thumbs up. I'm talking about the coldness up north. Bill was talking about the weather where he's at also in New York, and I can empathize. I can certainly empathize. Down here in Florida, we had just had a cold front come through. It's going to be down into the 60s tonight, Ken.
Aw. Love and light, prayers.
60s. I'm
Love it.
debating putting socks on under my sandals. It's that cold right now. I may have to put the space heater on in the garage. So it's the struggle is real. We are trying to get through it here. And thank you all for your thoughts and prayers. I really appreciate that. That's incredible. But
Yeah. Take
how are
care.
things in your neck of the woods, Ken?
It snowed and it rained. That's about it. And it's pouring right now. So all good, all good, all good. Lots of projects around the house. I wanted to tell everybody too, if you can see this beam right down there, this
Lens
angelic
flare?
type of thing. Yeah. I'm going to try not to be abducted tonight. Some kind of tractor beam. So tis what it is. So unless you want me to do this completely in the dark. Hello, everybody in chat. Welcome. We got a good one for you tonight. We really do. We're excited to introduce many of you to these folks. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And they've supplied us with some clips, some photos, and some video clips. And we always like that. We know you do too. So,
A little bit of background
ready.
on this is how I discovered this amazing team. Is I'm a TikToker. We do have a TikTok account also, which we don't really promote that much, when we give all the other websites and such. But it's certainly out there, and rolling along really good. I mean, some of the clips out there have done 650,000 views. I mean, it's mind-blowing what comes out of it. But I sit on it and just scroll through, and every once in a while, because of my weird sleeping hours, sometimes I get up between 4 and 5 in the morning, and there's this individual that is sitting there on their couch, freezing in a blanket, and they have a huge, scary picture in the background that everybody's commenting on. And I'm like, no, no, no. There's more to it than that. Let's talk about paranormal. And I opened up the invitation, offered it up, and they accepted. And I'm thrilled to talk to them and introduce them to all of you also. We have all of their media information also, so that you guys can get a chance to catch up on what it is that they're doing, whether it be on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube for that matter. So we'll get to it. But Ken, if you want to do the introductions.
Yeah, as George said, they come to us directly from the upper part of New York together, and we'll have them introduce themselves to you. But without further ado, welcome the folks from S.A.W Paranormal.
Hello,
Now,
hello.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you about 20 seconds to avert your eyes. In the background, it's terrifying.
Yes.
It really is terrifying.
Shane's not that bad. He's not that. Oh, you mean the painting? Oh, okay.
Well, that ghost over her head might match the nun.
It's a picture of my grandma.
Just being terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Is that does that ghost holding a coffee cup?
That's a camera.
There's one holding a coffee cup up there, actually. I'm not sure if it's getting seen.
I don't think so.
There's a little haunted coffee shop one up there. This one's holding a camera. This is from a place we went to in Gasport, New York, that I actually found out my relatives built and lived in the home and haunts the place. It's called Greystone Manor, actually. That's a rendition, and that's just a joke.
Oh, okay.
Very talented. Very, very talented. That's awesome.
I
That is
appreciate
really great. So, yeah, we're going to do the basic thing for our audience there. If they have never come across your content on any of the social media platforms, give a little background of who you guys are, your names, and how you created S.A.W Paranormal.
Sure. So my name's Alex.
My name is Shane.
And we created S.A.W Paranormal. We actually met on a haunted road on an investigation. His friends actually asked me. They knew I was a psychic medium. and they were like, "Do you want to come to an investigation sometime?" And Shane was with them. And I already had been taking residential cases where people were calling me for cleansings in our local area. Especially after I'd been doing readings since I was in high school. So it was just word of mouth. And then Shane had been investigating for a couple years or something before we met, right?
No, that was my first investigation. Was the what we went on? I
No,
was
because you
interested
guys
in it.
got evidence from that location prior to
Oh, yeah, that was like a
moving
year
to-
ago. Yeah. Then
So
yeah.
and then when we went to Pigman's Road after that, I kind of started taking him to my residential cases with me, and we formed S.A.W Paranormal and started dating.
Here we are.
And yeah, here we are, a few
Here
years
we are.
later.
You and Valix.
Now, you just mentioned also you are a medium, and so that has to have a backstory to that. Uh, when you first discovered it and what kind of experiences, how young did it start?
It started when I was pretty young. I remember moving into the house my parents still have, or my mom still has. I was about 4 or 5, and I remember seeing some shadow figures and some not so good things in the house there. And my parents really just thought I was kind of off my rocker at first. And as we got older, this haunting progressed pretty rapidly to the point where it wasn't just me getting these experiences, and they were getting to be psychological attacks. It was actually getting to the point of oppression, and I want to say like more of the second stage of oppression too. So it was getting pretty. It was forming pretty rapidly over the years through this peak and fade type of activity until we had to call somebody that actually came to do an exorcism on the home. And it ended up failing due to changes that weren't made in the home at the time. Uh, they were unaware, they weren't able to make the changes that would have been necessary to keep it at bay, because it's actually common after an exorcism a few days after for something to return. And you usually have to make changes or adjustments. You kind of have to meet the exorcist halfway. So that kind of propelled me. I had been studying demonology a few years prior to that, and that just made me want to help people even more. So seeing spirits in the home all growing up since I was a kid, my parents ended up getting me psychologically evaluated. Nothing came of that. And then come high school, I just started being able to read people. I literally just pulled somebody to the side the one day, and I was like I'm seeing your grandfather, and he's talking about passing away a couple years back. And she started crying in the middle of school. So then I just started practicing on my teachers and other students, and it went on from there until I got classes to get certified. And then just a year after getting certified, actually, I met Shane.
Wow. And Shane, how did you get started in the field? Because I know you just told the story of that first investigation, but there's a lot of people that do that, Shane. There's a lot of people that go on tours. They want to experience it.
Yeah.
How did you catch the bug?
My story's not as interesting. I watched a lot of TV, Ghost Adventures, and me and my friends, we got bored one day and we heard of this haunted road, and this was like in the middle of winter too. So we went to this haunted road with nothing but a camera and a flashlight. We got some stuff, and then a year later, we went again. We took her, got a lot of stuff, and now here I am.
Fascination is in what particular specialty? Do you like doing the EVPs? You like doing spirit box? Are you doing crystals? What is your fascination?
I like it all. I like making the contact. I think it's interesting how we're not really sure as to like how they communicate still or why, but they do it. And that fascinates
I feel like
me.
we know. I feel like we're getting to know. I feel like we're starting to break it down. And I feel like that's what makes us a good team too. Is because I have a lot of knowledge on the psychic medium and spiritual and that, and then like he's very good with equipment.
I do love the tech that comes with the ghost hunting.
There you go.
It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Brings to it.
Yeah.
Well, what
Like
I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to jump off and give Ken some time to grill you. And I know that we have a lot of different clips that we want to get to also, but I'll leave it to the two of you, or the three of you, I should say, and I'll be back with you just a little later.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, George. Once again, hello, folks. So every superhero has an origin story, right? So I'm sure you had yours as far as all this started. Were either of you, so neither of you were in like another group
No.
or anything like that?
Nope.
Okay. So, all right. So, you said before, Alex, you did residential cases, right? And those come up from time to time. But
Mhm.
also, there are places that I'm sure you want to go to,
Oh yeah.
for your own, education, as it were. Do you have a certain criteria for the type of places that you look into and like, I'd like to go here, I'd like to go there? Or does it just come down maybe to availability?
Really? There's definitely locations I'd love to go to, but there's no particular hauntings or reasons as to, but yeah, usually it comes down to availability.
Yeah.
Travel is honestly not cheap for us over here. So usually it comes down to expenses and everything.
Sure.
Um, but so yeah, really, when it comes to a haunting,
If
I
it's
think
got a ghost story, we want to check it out.
I always like to go by the saying, history is a haunting waiting to be told. If there's history there's probably a cool haunting. Um, Now, I definitely have found where there are some more negative hauntings in certain locations. We definitely are open to taking more negative hauntings because I do like to help people, especially cases like that, because I feel like there's not a lot of people that specialize in helping rid evil out of your home. There's really not too many authentic people that do that nowadays. But when it comes to well-known locations, it could be, for example, the Conjuring House. It could be Rolling Hills. It could be. We really would love to go to Western Black. That's been on our list. There's the one in Texas, Mineral Wells, the Hill House.
Yeah, Hill House.
I've been
yeah.
wanting to go there for a long, long time.
Mhm.
There's. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say there's any place I don't want to go,
We're not picky.
Yeah, we're not picky. I'll talk to all spirits. I don't particularly like to talk to negative ones, but research is research.
Well, before we get out of here, I'm sure we're going to flesh out negative hauntings and things like that because standard procedure here. Another thing is standard procedure for paranormal groups is going into a place and figuring things out on your own and, eliminating anything natural or so. What is your kind of process on that when you're going into a location and you say, okay, the stories are cool, but maybe we can make our own stories. So let's test things.
So usually I go in trying to make contact with spirit and trying to see, because sometimes a lot of times when you talk to the spirits right on, and you'll find, you can find history anywhere online, but when it comes to personal stories and personal accounts, those aren't always documented or recorded. So when it comes to that, we try to just make it warm and welcoming for spirit to come up to us. And we do find that spirits do like to talk to us. Shane's goofy. I'm a little more serious. It's a good balance. They tend to come to me for more emotional stuff or really to communicate. And a lot of times what we'll do is I'll go through with a psychic walkthrough first. I may even do automatic writing prior to going there and prior to knowing any knowledge or history on the location. And then we'll go through after a psychic walkthrough and start off with some equipment and just see what kind of responses we get, see what kind of haunting we're dealing with. Is it residual? Is it intelligent?
Yeah. So the burning question before we move on is the acronym SAW, and people will lose it if they don't find out. I want to find.
We're not telling anybody. No, I'm
No.
kidding.
So it actually stands for Shane and Alex Whipple.
Okay. There. Okay. So the burning question has been asked, right?
And everybody in chat was wrong.
Yeah.
What were they saying? Spooky and weird?
weird.
That's good.
Saw a
Spooky
witch.
and weird.
Witch. No, it's
It
not
can
that
kind of-
interesting. Sorry.
It can kind of be whatever you want it to be, I guess. So far, how long you been at this now together?
6
We're going to be
years,
going
7
on 5 years
or together.
for paranormal stuff too. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we're going on 5 years of investigating together now.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, can you tell us about maybe one particularly challenging place that you went into? And it could be for any one of a number of reasons. Challenging can be anything at all. But is there one in particular that maybe surprised you or challenged you in some way? It wasn't really like run-of-the-mill stuff.
What was your name? Brittany?
Hmm?
Brittany's? Is that her name? The house off of or across from Niawanda. Is that her
You
name?
shouldn't be saying you can't
She don't
give a
live there anymore.
location, but like, and you're saying a residential case or anywhere we've
Well,
gone.
it could be anywhere really. Any kind of anything that
Honestly-
provided a unique kind of challenge than what you were used to normally.
I would have said the Conjuring House definitely was a big like
Yeah.
that one definitely the energy there shocked me.
Mhm.
And I did not feel good there. Like all my senses were going off there like crazy. There's very rare times I have felt like that in certain places. The Kempville Cottage.
That one there.
The Kempville Cottage was a residential case turned into a haunted location. Recently, that place also definitely shook us a little bit a couple times.
Mhm.
Just again, some of the things that you would experience or you aren't expecting because it can feel like a normal house or a normal place one minute and then the next moment you can have extreme activity happening
Yeah.
and it takes you a minute to process that it's actually happening.
Also, like the residential cases, there's no like written down history.
Mhm.
So you gotta like do your own research, look
Yeah.
at maps and stuff.
Yeah, and that can take you on.
Time consuming, challenging,
Yeah,
connecting all the dots.
those are definitely challenging and in a fun way, I want to say too.
Yeah.
You
So
have to spend time on it to, get all the answers.
mhm. Now, what state is the Conjuring House in?
It is, I
Rhode
believe
Island?
it's in Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island.
Do you know where I am right now?
I do not.
I'm in
Yeah.
Rhode Island.
Are you?
You know how many times I've been to the Conjuring House?
I'm sure a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, a lot. A couple dozen. Don't tell George though. All right, never.
Oh.
He hasn't been there yet. So.
You summoned them.
And nobody knows this, but I co-authored a book with Andrea Perrin.
Nobody knows it.
With Andrea Perrin. And
You
I've
are
never been to the Conjuring House.
Yep. You have found the two people in the world who don't know that you
We went when Jen and Corey were owning in 2021. Jen and Corey owned it. Did I say that or did I fall off there?
You saw it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the place kind of going a little sideways. I'm being generous here.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little sideways, but I wasn't knee deep in it, but I was kind of like right. I got everything.
I felt it as soon as the ownership was signed over. He thought I was being a nut, and I was like, I'm telling you intuitively, psychically, I was like, that's not good.
Mm.
It's just not going to be good.
So, as a psychic, someone does automatic writing, and it's a nice combination because you talked about it before. If you can find somebody that legitimately gives you accurate information from a psychic point of view, it's kind of the best of both worlds because you talked about it. I call it emotional content. With the dates and everything that can be documented, that's swell. But what were people thinking,
Yeah.
so you get that again, that kind of emotional content.
Oh
But
yeah.
my question was, is there any particular thing that you do in terms of safety or protection? That's a common question here. I don't really as an investigator, so I'm not judging anybody. But a lot of times people do want to know when you're going into these places, and you talked a little bit about negativity that you've kind
Yeah.
of bumped into now and then. Do you have anything going on in that regard, or is it just a
Absolutely.
meditative thing, or what?
It's not, it's honestly in all of the above. I'll meditate prior to. I'll cleanse myself in multiple different ways, whether it's smoke cleansing, whether it's with the water and oil, protective oils, protective waters, meditation, um, basically grounding, cleansing, protection. And
Yeah.
I always preach discernment. Discernment is huge because if you're easily manipulated by people, you're going to be easily manipulated by spirit. And
Oh
even the
my
best.
God, who's rising out of that? You.
It's not a ghost, I
Oh my
promise.
God. Oh,
It's not a ghost. He's a big baby. He likes to be covered with a blanket.
Forgot he was there.
no, I just felt obligated as the co-host of the show to warn you that
That
there
something was
might be
happening.
something arriving from another dimension there next to you. Okay.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
like a
that's
scene out of like a ghost movie
Slowly
where the
rising
blankets
up.
just, oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, continue on that as far as, your own, what's your own bag there, as far as
Definitely.
protection.
Cleansing, grounding, protecting. A lot of times what I will also say, I try to tell people that um power of command is huge. Being able to say something out loud and say you don't have permission to touch me, you don't have permission to follow me home. You don't have
Mhm.
permission to enter my home. Don't have permission to attach to me, stuff like that, and saying that before you leave locations, grounding and cleansing before and after going anywhere or dealing with any type of spiritual activity. Before I even take a client, let alone going to a haunted location, before I even take a client, I'm grounding, cleansing, and protecting before and after.
Mhm. Well, I think whatever brings you that comfort level, right? Some people are superstitious, and that's kind of silly, but with the same routine, you just get a comfort or something like that. You feel better, if
Yeah,
nothing else.
it's absolutely, yeah, it's something, and a lot of people don't even realize it's something you end up you really do feel something off of it.
Mhm.
Because when you cleanse yourself and your aura and you align your chakras, what people don't know, your chakras are actually lined down your spinal cord that's directly linked to your central nervous system. So like when we're
Yeah.
not cleansing ourselves and taking care of ourselves spiritually, that does affect us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah. Now, in that time, over the last 5 years, we'll talk a little bit about it. Have you encountered anything you thought was hostile? I'm not going to use the D word because sometimes those two things are confused. We misunderstand an action for something that's aggressive. Like I may throw a book at you just because I want your attention. I can't think of another way. But
Right.
so starting from that point, has there been any obstinate type of spirits or uncooperative or
Scratched all the time.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Well,
3 different locations.
yeah. There's some heavier. Those were some heavier. Um, I want to say, was one of them the residential case here where like we were getting a lot of activity and I had to go back to do the crossing over? Because I would say that one was hostile. They were angry. They were slamming doors. I did a cleansing. I had to go back a week later and I did a crossing over and I said, you have to go. And the issue, what he didn't want to let go of the house, and he was not the kindest man. So it took me a little bit of talking to him,
Yeah.
and they haven't had anything happen since.
Hmm.
That was a particularly a little bit more of an aggressive spirit. We have actually had situations where I don't know if you would use the D word, but yeah, I personally would. We did have to do an extraction on a woman. It was supposed to be a cleansing of her home. And it turned into something so much more. I've never seen anything like that. It definitely shook me. You did a pretty good job, I'd say, like staying focused on what you were supposed to be doing. But so yeah, we've definitely seen some more aggressive. In that particular case, that woman went under possession, is what I would call it, and she did lose control of her body at one point. Um, that's probably the most extreme thing I've seen,
Yeah. Okay.
and
So
that was very aggressive.
did you ever feel that in handling an aggressive spirit that there's is it a case of, and I think this is overused, I'm interested to know what you think. When I hear the term spirits are stuck,
Mhm.
in my experience, there it's not that it doesn't exist, but I think it's probably very rare because I think most spirits have free will, whether it is to go here, 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 or by choice stay grounded in a certain place. So, how do you feel about that? Do you think that the idea of being stuck here is a little overplayed?
I think it's actually a lot more common than we realize. A lot of times with earthbound spirits, it's what we don't realize. You know, they'll talk about people that passed away traumatically, or especially younger children that don't know how to process their passing may get stuck. But what people don't realize too is we don't talk about people that do not accept the issues that they've created on this earth. There are murderers and people that have committed very violent crimes that do get stuck here because they may not be even ready or willing to accept that they've done something wrong, to spiritually heal and grow, to even make it to the point of looking at their soul contract and rewriting it and doing that healing.
Hmm.
So there's definitely times where spirits get stuck. But it definitely depends. It doesn't happen necessarily as often as people say. Spirits will actually commonly visit places that they spent a
Right.
lot of time in.
Yeah, like for example, I used to work at McDonald's. Okay, and during COVID, the lobby was closed and all that, and
Mhm.
I hear and see this chair like just drag across the floor. Very heavy McDonald's chair. No one died there, but I'm sure it was someone who probably frequented the place.
They
So
probably used to work there,
yeah.
do something there where they were probably pulling out the chair to try and clean under the
Hmm.
table or something for all we know.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I mean, in intention plays so much of that because sometimes aggression is confused for something
Hmm.
else, and you can't blame people. Some of these things can be startling, and you
Absolutely.
know, everything's out to harm you until you learn a little bit better.
Hmm.
That's not
Absolutely.
always the case. So I see that a lot because if the idea is we want to know when we cross over, do we keep our memories, our character, our personality? So I would imagine the good people going to be good people. Bad people doesn't mean they've been converted yet. So they may be kind of grounded, just being their normal a-hole self.
Yeah, honestly, it really is very much they are who they are and how they were physically, they will be in spirit a lot of the times. There are times where they might have a period where they want to turn over a new leaf after their pet, because sometimes it really takes dying to make you realize, oh my gosh, look at all the things that
Mhm.
I could have done better and didn't do correctly. Sometimes it really does take that to turn over a new leaf, and I have seen that in some cases.
Mhm.
But no, yeah, they generally keep their own personality when they pass over. Um, I've
Yeah.
seen that. There's been times where I knew people in person and then actually did a reading for their loved ones when they passed over, and it was a little um jolting almost, but like yeah, they were the same person that I knew
Mhm.
in person as they were in spirit. It was so yeah,
Yeah.
that's something you can rest assured is that people will definitely keep their personality intact from the other
Mhm.
side. But yeah, it definitely takes a moment to relearn communication, and so that can be scary because you know you might hear like a bang on the table or like a knock or something, and it might be somebody desperately trying to talk to you because you can't hear them.
Yeah, when we start this and people might ask us what we do, what we're interested in. And when we tell them what we do, you either get a reaction of "you what?" or you get the "oh, that's cool," right?
Mhm.
But even the people who are like, "What? That's crazy." Within 3 minutes, they're telling you a ghost story, right? Everybody's got one,
Yeah.
no matter where you grew up. But with it comes the idea of some skepticism, right? I mean, you got to battle your friends and coworkers and family a little bit. But now there is so much skepticism, and which is not a bad thing. Being
Yeah.
skeptical is not a bad thing at all.
No, there's a healthy level of skepticism because that would be like if everyone came up to us saying, "I'm possessed." We can't automatically believe it. There's absolutely a healthy level of skepticism. That's
Mhm.
almost what you have to debunk to a degree, I would say, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Have you yet encountered? Because I don't know how public you are
Mhm.
with your stuff, but I know we'll talk about the YouTube channel, of course. But do you find yourself having to like fend off skeptics from within the community in terms of the way you go about things? Because let's face it, everybody scrutinizes everything, right? The way you're holding something,
Mhm.
right down to what you're wearing. And I mean, so there's a lot of that. Do you just kind of like tune out that noise and do you?
Yeah, really, because
I, I mean, personally, the way I take it is like, believe what you want. If you don't believe us, okay. If you do, awesome.
yeah, I mean, I think I've had skeptics come to me and then turn believers the next day. I believe there's almost different levels to skepticism. So it really how I handle it depends on the person. Some people may say I don't really believe in this, but that's because I haven't had a good experience or had an
Like my
experience
buddy
yet.
Matt, we took him who
He
he
didn't
was on the
believe in
fence.
Yeah, he didn't believe in mediums. He straight up told me that he didn't believe in ghosts
Yeah.
necessarily, and after that day he changed his mind.
Hmm.
But some people are not open to that. Some people truly, it might be a fear thing, it might be a religion thing, it might you know um so really, yeah, we kind of are just like, if you do you do, you don't you don't.
Yeah. Some people's
um
minds you can't change them.
exactly, so
As
I
long as I think
basically like, yeah, I'm just, we're not everyone's cup of tea. We're kind of like espresso, and not everyone likes that. So, and
right,
that's it.
so just stronger value. But it's if you feel you're doing the right thing, you're honest with everybody, most importantly, honest with yourselves. And if you're
Yeah.
doing it to the best of your ability, you're trying to do it right, just see where the
That's all
journey
that
takes.
matters.
Yeah, see where the journey takes you 40 years from now. Who the heck knows? So as promised, I am going to be back in the second half, and we're going to get to some of those clips. But I'm going to say goodbye for now. I'm going to drop out on you, bring George in. So we'll be back. Take it away, Sahib.
Thank you very much. Shane and Alex of S.A.W Paranormal. And thank you guys again for joining us tonight. And I wanted to address this because I look at it as opposites of the same coin, the two of you. Because Shane, you talked about your fascination began with the television shows, and you particularly mentioned Ghost Adventures, which has a
Mhm.
style that is caution to the wind, you know, balls out, forward attack kind of a thing. And then you're working in partnership with Alex, who is more from a sensitives capability, where the contrasts are really rough. How do you incorporate that working side by side on an investigation? Who takes the reins in that circumstance?
I think we definitely clash sometimes. Don't
We've
get me wrong.
definitely, yeah, like everybody, we've definitely butt heads.
Like she'll tell me to cleanse and all that, and I'll be like, wait, hold on. Well, I want to keep myself as open as possible to whatever.
Which it doesn't leave you open.
I know, but I
just,
just want to make sure. But how do I word this? So okay, when you're looking at it from like a filming perspective, you want stuff to happen. Okay, you want content in a sense, you know. You want evidence. So I go in dry, I guess, you know.
if you want to put it that
Yeah,
way.
if you want to put it that way.
He personally does not like to cleanse prior to. I do force him to cleanse afterwards,
Yeah,
coming home.
after, no problem.
But yeah, there's definitely I'd say the way we balance it too and incorporate with, I want to say the psychic walkthroughs we incorporate the mediumship with, because like I said, he's very good with technology. So that's definitely like he's definitely the lead investigator and I'm the psychic medium of the group. So we also will do, I believe Kelsey Davies off TikTok. I don't know if you've heard of her. She invented this like green light method where you put these headphones on, the noise canceling headphones on, and you have to be in a different room, obviously, so you don't hear the person asking the questions. And we'll do that a lot of the time, where he'll ask questions and I can't hear, but I will pick up on the spirits around me and channel them and kind of just respond. And the evidence we'll get in that sometimes can be kind of chilling in its own.
Do you have some of that on the YouTube channel? Some of those examples are on the YouTube channel?
Yes, we do. Yep.
All right.
And the psychic walkthroughs, the things I'll pick up on prior to going to locations, we've even shown some of my remote viewing paper before, I think, that I've written down on our YouTube. We've incorporated the psychic medium stuff a lot more, because for a while when we first started, I want to say we were just doing investigation with equipment, and I started to think to myself, I was like, I think I get too into the investigative mode. I need to tap into like my natural, and that has helped a lot more. We've actually made jokes that I'm like a piece of equipment that just
gets put in a bag.
Yeah, I can go in the bag too, like I'm a piece of equipment. Like, come on. No, but
now I don't imagine. There was an interview that we did here on Dead Air quite some time ago. I'd say about 7-8 years ago, and it was actually a New York based team where the main individual involved with it said that his ultimate goal in the paranormal is to get drunk and get possessed by a demon. That's not a direction, Shane, that you would even venture, correct?
No, absolutely not.
I would hope
I'm
not.
kidding.
Oh my gosh.
No, I don't like drinking that much.
But the reaction to the experiences that you have when filmed are for that reaction content and viewership content. But a lot of the times when those kind of events happen, when you experience it, Shane, first and foremost, it carries with you. So once that occurs, off the camera, on the ride home, back at home, there's a lot of that kind of still mull through your mind, like, what effect did it have on me?
Usually the next day. By the time I'm done with the investigation, I'm too sleepy.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I'll deal with it tomorrow.
Well, there's been times where you've been attacked in your sleep though too.
Yeah.
And I've had to cleanse you, and you didn't even wake up, and there's been times. No, he's definitely gotten attacked in his sleep. And I could use you as an example for teaching even, but this is why you're supposed to cleanse regularly.
Wait a minute. Attacked in his sleep by spirits?
Absolutely. He leaves himself a little too open.
Give us one story of that.
So there's been particular times where he was being attacked in his sleep. I've seen spirit enter our room before. He would start shaking back and forth very violently, and I actually have woken up out of his sleep and started saying prayer over him or doing light language over him, and he actually would stop rocking immediately. And then everything would be fine for the rest of the night.
Was he asleep or awake?
He was completely asleep. He doesn't even remember. I have to tell him that this happens.
How does that make you feel, Shane, after she tells you that?
How do I put this nicely? I don't like my sleep being disturbed, so if she takes care of me, then we're good. I guess.
But there's no unsettling feeling that this is going on while you were unconscious?
No, I don't. I haven't had that experience yet where like I should be more careful. I haven't had that. Can I swear around here? That OSHI blank moment.
Do you find it that it is impeding your dreams, turning it into nightmares, anything of that sort carrying over? Dramatic pause.
Too often.
Hmm.
Okay, generally I don't dream too often at all. It's kind of like my eyes close and I wake up, it's the next day.
And
Then
if I
it's a
do
big-
dream, it's some random stuff. I'm an
Enigma, I guess.
Well, I think that I would imagine, Alex, because of your mediumship capabilities, those kind of nightmares can be traumatic, correct?
For me, no. I mean, we've dealt with a lot of negative things, and I've done a lot of cleansings, and we've done some extraction before, especially after going through the failed exorcism in my parents' home. I don't particularly get scared too easily. I just clear what I need to. He's been a lot more careful, I want to say, since, because I've definitely been on him about that. I'm also one for, if you're stubborn and need to learn your lesson, there's always, I definitely feel that prior to the exorcism in my parents' house, I was a medium prior to that, but I jumped right into it. I didn't learn how to ground cleanse or protect myself, and that made me a main target in a house that had an entity there. So I learned my lesson.
You
investigators.
go ahead, Shane.
It's good to use protection for investigating.
For any work, if you're opening yourself any which way spiritually, it is very, very good to ground, cleanse, and protect, and have good discernment.
I got you, Shane. I know where you're going with it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Don't do what I do, guys. Be safe.
The interesting part of one of our conversations when you were on TikTok Live, and this goes for anybody that's in the audience, and a lot of our regular Patreon members are in there too. Those times that you happen to wake up early and you get on TikTok, you'll find Alex in there. And again, just interesting conversations at that time of the morning. It blows me away. Her energy levels are at that level at 5 o'clock in the morning. But we had a conversation. We were talking about the exorcism in the house. And you said, and I don't recall if you gave me an answer, but because I kept trying to put it in there.
Oh, and TikTok.
And you ignored, and TikTok sometimes just skips comments. But I kept going back and saying, you talked about how the priest screwed it up or failed. Could you go into that detail a little bit?
So I don't want to say that the exorcist failed. I want to say that the exorcism did fail. What I will say is I think that more could have been said to a family to prep them on what to do, what happens after an exorcism, and that you have to meet an exorcism halfway, because for an entity to even come into your life or into your home, there has to be some kind of law of invitation or law of attraction, or both. There has to be something there. So that means that the people in the home have to make changes. We weren't aware that changes needed to be made. However, my parents at that time, they which, pardon, but they were struggling with addiction at the time. My mother does not struggle with addiction anymore, but they were not in the place to make those changes necessary to keep that entity at bay. So a lot of times, so would I say that it was the exorcist's fault? No, but the exorcism did fail because changes were not made in the home or with the people to keep any negativity at bay after that. Unfortunately, nowadays there's been a lot of changes made. It is less haunted, but it still remains haunted to this day. There's been a lot of extremely odd, scary occurrences in the home to many people over the years. But yeah, I want to say it's calmed down over the past year.
Law of attraction or law of invitation.
Yes.
Did you ever come to the realization, the possibility that you were instrumental in that because of your mediumship capabilities, as
Oh,
we talk
absolutely.
about with Cody and Satori, a beacon of light that draws in spirits?
Yeah, I believe that definitely made it worse. I believe that's why I was a main target, and it definitely made it worse because not only are we in very historic land, but then you take people that are struggling with addiction or anything like that.
We lost your camera shot.
Uh-oh. Oh, sorry. Shane's going to fix that real quick.
That's not a problem. As long as we can still hear you, that's the important part. But yeah, continue on with that, Alex, what you were saying.
So not only were we on extremely haunted land, but then, there was struggle with substance abuse at the time. And that really makes for a perfect recipe because the haunting on this land, actually, there's several books written about it by Mason Winfield, actually, about the activity in Western New York and the hauntings, and it's not particularly great. It's definitely more negative and violent history. So you take that with substance abuse, it just mixes for a really perfect recipe for a negative or demonic disaster to occur. So
What's
that's really
Mason's last name? Mason Westfield?
Mason Winfield.
Winfield. Because you mentioned him also before. Obviously, this is somebody who strongly impacted you as far as their work.
So, what's funny, growing up, he visited my elementary school to talk about the history, and now today, he's an author of many books and everything. So he's a historian and author in our area, and he's actually helped us on a case before.
Well, this is somebody, yeah, and he's up here. Look at this. He's been all over the place.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a really cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's very funny too.
Yeah.
Somebody to look into. Let's not just promote Mason for a second here. Let's also promote what you do, Alex. Again, I want to front and center put the images behind you, and these are not things that they have purchased because of their fascination in the paranormal. Ladies and gentlemen, the artwork you see behind our guests tonight were actually done by Alex herself. Now,
Shane's like, I'm Alex. No.
Showing off the work.
I will tell you that, again, when she does her lives on TikTok, from the couch, I would assume, correct?
Yeah, in the living room.
The nun picture is always right behind her, and the amount of responses, reactions to that are comical because people are absolutely freaked out, and because of the ubiquitous eyes and the way that she created that. And it's not done on canvas, is it?
No, unfortunately. I didn't know it was going to turn out that good, and I had a giant piece of cardboard and just started painting it, and it turned out so good. I have done some on canvas and actually sold them or sent them out to I actually sent one for someone that gave a donation to S.A.W Paranormal. I sent them a painting as a thank you. So I've definitely painted it on canvas before, but this one, unfortunately, is not one of the canvas paintings, but the other ones are. So.
And the eyes glow in the dark.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yes, I need better glow in the dark paint because that is starting to fade again. Like, I need to invest in a little bit more expensive glow-in-the-dark paint because it starts to fade every little bit. But yeah.
All right, now the ultimate question, and we've got about 3 minutes, 4 minutes left here, but commissions. Let's talk about that for a second. When I brought it up to you about going out to some of these paranormal conferences, and the first thing that you said is, I've never been invited. I'm like, you don't get invited. You rent a booth. You get a booth and you put your stuff out there. Would that be something that you would be interested in, is displaying your work for sale? And also, would you be willing to do commissions, people who want you to do paintings for them? Would that be something that interests you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Not only am I a psychic medium, but I absolutely sell my paintings as well. So yeah,
and
it's kind of
she's
like my
got a
side hustle.
fantastic singing voice also, so that you guys are aware of that.
Nope.
But when you if somebody wants to commission you for work, what's the best way for them to contact you?
They can message me off of Facebook, Instagram. There's actually contact information through Facebook and Instagram too, I believe, where they can, I think there's an email and a phone number, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
That is awesome. I think, again, a good part of what gives somebody diversity in this field is the creative mind. You have to be creative in this field. Otherwise, you get dead bored with it all too quick. So whether it's the type of equipment, the way you're using equipment, such as you're talking about, again, with the noise canceling headphones, you've got to obviously evolve, because unless it's working 24 hours a day, every time you use it, there's always room for improvement and change.
Yep,
That's the important
absolutely.
part to it. We are at the top of the hour. We're going to take our break here. We got about a 4.5 minute break. So if you guys need to run and refresh your drinks, when we come back on the other side, we'll continue our interview with Shane and Alex of S.A.W Paranormal. Right now, guys, we'll go to break. We'll see you just after. You're watching Dead or Alive on the Dead or Full Spectrum channel. Stay with us.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you would like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
And as we do each and every week, guys, make sure that you get a chance to visit our Patreon account. And I think Ken, you can look at it for free to start with, and then membership gives you so much more access. Correct? Up, you're on mute, buddy. He's going to unmute here in a second, but I believe that's the case. Ken?
And we're back. Don't pay the ransom. I escaped. So, yeah, if you want to join for free, take a look around, see if we're for you and what we have to offer, then, hey, consider it, you go without your 9 o'clock cup of coffee one day a week and you're paid up for a month. So feel free, come in, look around. We appreciate our patrons because it really does matter to George and I, to the channel, to the show. It makes a difference because we come to you for free, but we don't do it. But we don't do it for free.
Yeah, and that's an important part. As I said at the top of the show, too. There's some harsh accusations thrown at Ken, as it happens in this field from time to time. And he and I had a elongated phone conversation about it, but it's only for Patreon members' ears. So tomorrow night at Town Hall, you guys will get a little bit of the insight as to what irks us with regards to the field. So, but we have some good stuff to talk about too, don't we, Ken?
Yeah, we have 2 episodes right now recorded, and we've talked about this for a while. It's called Last Bite, and it's a cooking show. How about that, folks? So, for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about right now, here's a little taste. Hello, and welcome to the premiere episode of Last Bite, a show where we honor the dearly departed and their culinary legacy. I'm Ken DeCosta, your host, and joining me today we have a very special guest. Hello, dear. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
What is your experience around the kitchen?
None.
Okay, well, this is going to be perfect then. Do you take science classes at all?
One time I did take a science class and I overheated a glass beaker and it shattered in my hand.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
There it is. Last Bite. And Jonathan, it is from my kitchen. We couldn't afford a set.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 2 are filmed. We'll get 1 more this week. And once they're edited and we have 3 in the can, as they like to say, we'll come up with a date and a time. It'll be consistent. And you guys will be the first to know. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So one thing about Dead Air, we're constantly evolving, changing. There's additions, there's subtractions, there are changes, and only a few people, Patreon members, are privy to what's going on with regards to Dead Air. But a lot of you will be notified soon enough. But again, we appreciate, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Patreon, we appreciate you coming and joining and sitting with us during these shows and all the many others that we provide out there. Well, That Was Weird, A Paranormal Couple, Cody and Satori on every other Thursday. So stick around because we got a lot more coming your way, guys. And now it's time to bring back our very special guest tonight. That is Shane and Alex of S.A.W Paranormal. Welcome, guys, back. And thank you again so much. By the way, Shane, how'd you like the intro song?
He didn't know you guys.
I didn't know you guys could see me.
It's a banger, right? It's a banger.
Yeah, everybody's favorite part of the show. I mean, everybody in the comments making remarks about it also. But thank you guys again for staying with us tonight. We still have a lot more on the board, including evidence that you provided, and that's why it's time to turn it back over to Mr. Ken DeCosta and let you guys roll with it. We have a couple of questions also from chat I'll be getting to later. So see you guys in a little bit.
All right, very good. So before we go anywhere else, I want to play these clips that you were kind enough to send us. And first one is the first three actually, Alex, are going to be the Spirit Box sessions,
Parents' house.
1, 2, and 3. So we're going to play all three, but if you want to kind of give us some context and kind of set up the clips a little bit.
So what ones did you send in even?
Soldier.
Okay, the
left,
EVPs and
and a
stuff.
third one.
So my parents' house being, for one, on really haunted land.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of by water. We're on land where there was Native Americans. There were soldiers. You know, there was a lot going on during the War of 1812. There was a lot going on in this town specifically. There was underground railroads that go through this town. So some of the one EVP you're about to hear, it almost sounded like someone was saying they're insulted or I'm a soldier, and it kind of sounds like they're saying I'm a soldier.
So it's kind of subjective, as a lot of them are.
Yes.
No, that's just the nature of it. So in sequence, these three, are these all coming from the same night, or are they different visits?
To help them. Did you send that? To
think
help
so, I
us
might
help
have.
them?
Maybe. Yeah, they're all the same night.
Yeah. It was pretty funny too, because my mom, she was like, I'm not gonna be here, or what did she? Was she at the house, or
Later
I think?
on.
Yeah, because she left. She didn't even want to be there. She was like, "You guys can come here while nobody's here, and just I'll leave." She didn't want any part in what was going on. She was still completely freaked out. There was still a lot of negative stuff going on in that house. So
Okay, excellent. Well, what we'll do is I'm going to get into that whole, let's call it a case, even though it's your parents' home,
Yeah.
okay, from an investigative standpoint. But here is the first Spirit Box session. You go through it once, and I appreciate you letting everybody go through it without any graphics and then coming back later. So that's the way to do it. All right, so here's the first one.
I command you to unmask yourself. Who are you? Did you hear that laugh? I think that.
Okay, so you got if you got a laugh back from that, do you have a general idea of who this is
So
that you're
that
communicating with you?
I immediately know it's not something so happy. It's something more negative that's kind of having a good time. Kind of having a good time freaking people out there. That was something that was definitely enjoying feeding off of the people there and their addiction, and which I don't even know if we got in the one clip where I asked if they're feeding off the people here, and then they said there's been a lot of responses like that as well. So
All right. Well, let's
Yeah.
get on with the second one here. Same session, I guess. This is also Spirit Box.
use our energy to communicate. Did that screw yourself?
Sound like that.
Okay, you're right, and I mean it's subjective, but
Yeah,
if I had to throw my hat in the ring, I'd probably go with the soldier.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you first hear these things in the moment, you don't really.
You
You're not
think it's saying
expecting it.
something completely different in the moment. It's so hard to hear until you actually go back and look at the footage, and then you're able to mess with the volume so
Yeah.
you can intensify that actual voice phenomena you're
Listen
getting
to it
through.
20 times.
Yeah.
And do you ask somewhat consistent questions? And what I mean by that is repeat what you just said, or George is well versed on this as a spirit box practitioner, where he will ask for something to be said 3 times just to, kind of validate it. So when, we're looking at clips, obviously it's a snapshot of a much longer session. So I'm just curious if you kind of employ that, as you're like, okay, fine. Can you repeat that name to me? Just to, make sure that.
I think we've definitely asked before if we can repeat. And usually
Sure.
what we do is we'll even try to get them to basically validate that through other equipment if they can. We have like Ovulus even, which obviously, I mean, being a psychic medium, but if you're only using equipment to try and revalidate that, if we can't get them to repeat that or anything, we try to make them validate that through other pieces of equipment.
Sure. All right. Well, we'll play the last clip here from Alex's parents' house.
Are you feeding off of the people that live here?
Mm-hmm.
You heard that? Oh, I thought I heard music. Are you feeding off of the people that live here? Are you feeding off of the people that live here?
It's funny. I've gotten that same response on electronic voice phenomena, asking a question. I had, a woman's voice go, mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so my question is now, obviously, is it just your mom or?
So now it's my mom and my brother. My father did pass away. He struggled with his addiction the most, and he would get attacked a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so them living there, obviously, your mom doesn't want to be around, but there's trust in you to go in there without fear that, you're going to make things worse or something like that. So how long have you been at this, and what do you look at as the end game there in terms of what are you trying to achieve to kind of resolve this whole thing?
With the house, are you
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
So with the house, it's kind of been a topic that we have discussed on and off. Before my father passed, he really wanted the house cleansed or another exorcism done. I'm still kind of gauging how to go about that. Especially with how there really hasn't been activity since his passing. There isn't really any substance abuse or anything. There's
Right.
nobody there that's struggling with an addiction for anything negative to really be attracted to anymore. Not to say that there's anything not negative lingering in the area or coming off of the land or whatnot. But it's something we lightly discuss here and there, especially my father passed in 2024, so it's still something that's been lightly tiptoed around. But it's something that it gets talked about and is planned. We do plan to do another exorcism, if not blessing, and see kind of where we're at then.
Yeah. Well, my condolences on your dad. It hasn't been that long, so.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, so has there been anything threatening going on there, or
Since he
what's
passed, no. Prior to that, yes. There was a time my mother found, which she found my father wrapped around the toilet, bent backwards, and he had a lot of health issues, especially sciatic issues. He couldn't bend down, he couldn't bend backwards, let alone. So to find him bent backwards, curled around, he didn't even know how he got there. He couldn't even tell her what happened. There's definitely been some threatening. I mean, prior to the exorcism, even my best friend walked in. She felt like she was getting choked and had to leave. There's been a couple people actually that felt like they were choked and had to leave. So it's stuff like that, or where they were getting scratched or jabbed and had physical marks on them. I would get bruises all over. It would physically assault my mom. So yeah, there's definitely been in the most recent year or two. No, there has not been anything where you're afraid for your life.
Well, it's got, I mean, best possible outcome. Nobody's bothered by anything. So good.
Yes.
The next one I am going to play is a cat. It's only about 5 seconds long, but I'm going to show you this and then we'll come back with a couple of questions. But Alex, what is the context on this and where are you?
So actually, what's funny, we're at Greystone Manor in Gasport, New York. That night, I felt very emotionally drawn to the spirits there too. I kept saying, "What if I'm related?" Turns out on DNA ancestry, I was related to the spirits that built this home, and I think that's why we got so much activity that night. I actually painted the staircase. Oh, it's trying to come down on me.
You got a legacy haunting, right?
Yes, actually. So. Now what was happening there is I told Shane, I was like, let me see what I sense. And I kept picking up on this one room and I was like, we're planning to try and go outside. There's a lot of history on this land, like a Native American settlement in the backyard. I mean, like crazy.
Right.
So we were like, I told him, set up a camera in this room. I really feel something off of it. And let's go investigate outside. And we went and investigated outside. And during that time, we were only outside for half hour. During that time, it looks like the cat gets really scared, but when you really actually zoomed in and look at it, we even had the owner look at it. It looks like the cat gets picked up at one point, and then the cat jumps down because it's in the middle of sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of sleeping, gets lifted, and it jumps down. But by the time we came back inside, it was sleeping on the couch with the other cats. It was perfectly fine. So no harm was done to the animal in this video by any means. Eric with the K is okay.
So the cat was catapulted, and we're going to take a look at that. And I might play this a couple of times to see if you can see, the viewers, what Alex is talking about, the lift rather than the jump. So here we go. Okay, I'll play that again.
It's like a weird motion how the cat goes up and then kind of spazzes out.
It kind of looks almost as though either the cat spasmed or something lifted it when the back arches.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see what you're saying there. And when I loaded it for the show tonight, I didn't, scrutinize, but let's take another run at this. All right. Well, we'll leave that to the viewers. Let us know what you think. And but I can certainly see something a little bit different than a jump. We're either having a spasm or
right.
Yeah, cats are definitely. They do some weird stuff,
Cats are very, limber, and they do, Shane's had cats all his life. They are definitely odd, but yeah, the movement and how how people go to pick up a cat by the middle, and it's like they're,
they are back arches.
Yes, that's kind of, if you kind of look at the motion of and that's kind of where we were like, is that cat being picked up? We thought it was just scared at first and jumping up, but it's dead asleep. But yeah, if you look at the motion in the back, it looks a little bit. So what, did something scare it really bad, but to be sleeping and to go into that kind of position is a little.
I get you. I get you. Yeah, I mean, a cat usually isn't that clumsy. They're pretty graceful, and
Mm.
you know,
Especially in a manner like that. They have staircases where these cats balance, and if they fall, that those cats will die. This mansion is huge.
Yeah.
So those cats are definitely
Careful.
yeah, they definitely have balance.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just look like a very awkward cat, and you don't see that a lot.
Right.
So, the next clip, your trip to the Conjuring house, you were there, it sounds like, during the Heinzen regime.
Yeah.
And Jennifer and Corey, great friends of ours, you know. So yeah, I know it was a little bit different time there, but that's neither here nor there. What does matter is on your night, you sent a couple of clips. The first one I'm going to play looks like the SLS. So I don't know if you want to kind of set up for everybody what we're going to see.
So we're in, was it the main room before that?
I
Just
believe
three
so.
rooms. Yeah, the main room, I guess we'll call it. And there was a chair, and we were going around with the SLS, and you can clearly see a figure like just propped up in the chair.
Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look.
Look.
Yep, it's in the chair.
You can't stop.
After I literally just said, come sit next to me. Can you come sit closer to me? Can you sit on the same couch as me?
Okay. Take a look at it again in case, you know, focus up.
Look.
Yep, it's in the chair.
You can't stop.
After I literally just said, come sit next to me. Can you come sit closer to me? Can you sit on the same couch as me?
That's still so cool.
Okay. On that particular night, did anything else surrounding that chair sort of happen? Any EVP work? Any?
I know we were feeling some cold drafts. I mean, the temperature difference from like here to here during that time was like insanely noticeable. There is no denying how you could be warm sitting next to. Even like there was the chair there and then a couch, and you absolutely felt a complete difference.
Yeah, that particular chair. I mean, it's been a while, so things get moved.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if the chair is still there or not. Maybe, but is that in the seance room or in that middle gathering room?
It's the seance room.
What did that be?
The one where the gift shop door is in that same room. The stairs going up to the second floor. Call that the gathering room.
I'm trying because you know it's been since 2021 since we went. But the room where you immediately walk in and there's before you go into I think it's before you go into the seance room. So that door when you initially walk in, there's there was a couch and a chair there at the time.
Yeah, that's the guest entrance. So I'm just, you know, running through the Rolodex in my head. Like anything that happened to me there, you know, that's why I asked, you know, what room and, you know, did anything happen around it? So,
well, and that's the room actually where we were going to walk out. I was feeling not good, or you were not feeling good, right? And then I as it's like something hit me. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was weird. So we were walking through at the end of the tour, and
in that room,
there's a point where she wasn't feeling good, and then as soon as like you left the room, and then I was like, about to
I feel
leave.
better.
Yeah, she felt fine. And then I got hit with something. I just felt like garbage.
It's like whatever was near me. I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better soon. And then he got hit with it immediately. And it was in that room.
Let me ask you, that's been your only visit, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So with that visit and then looking back on things or whatever you knew about it going in, how do you feel about movie versus reality of that place with the witches and, you know, whatever the movie did, a lot of people, they wrap their arms around that.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I don't feel Bathsheba is actually an issue there. I don't believe that that's anything to be concerned about. I do believe that the movies depicted what that family went through. And I think that it could have even based on actually because I've loved actually watching interviews that Andrea has given. It seems as though those movies were toned down compared to some of the things. Whereas you watch some of these interviews and some of the things that were happening that they didn't want to share to producers or were put in her books. So I think that first movie could have been even toned down compared to what the Perron family actually was experiencing. However, you're gonna have that Hollywood effect and the flair.
Yeah,
to
but Andrea will tell you that even the movie, as it was based on that, took some liberties.
Mhm.
But the thing I think people kind of keep forgetting is that it's not really based. I guess it's based somewhat on Andrea's book, but these are the Warrens' experiences.
Mhm.
And the Warrens are going to be the Warrens. You're going to get the more sensational version probably from the Warrens than even
Yeah.
with Andrea, because Andrea loved the house. I mean,
Yeah.
she never came. Oh my God, there was good times and bad times there, right? House of darkness, house of light.
Yes.
Whereas the Warrens version, up until everybody rides in the sunset, which never happened, by the way, they're going to get the sensational version.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Hollywood's going to go there. All right, so you're using the flux. Next, I said flux, ladies and gentlemen, in case the FCC wants to take us off the air. Too bad, YouTube. Flux. Using this here, and I've actually used one of these myself. So I'm taking a guess. You're in the library?
Yes.
Okay. Bingo. I know that floor anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's let everybody know, Shane, what the flux does, what it operates from, and what it's looking for.
So
We have props.
this is the
Ta-da.
flux.
There you
It's
go.
got a sensor on both sides. One side lights up green, one side lights up red. You can use it for yes or no responses. And because these are motion detectors, it detects movement. And the closer you get to it, the faster it beeps. So this is really good for like yes or no questions and for movement. Whoops, I knocked over that.
Now, Shane, I've used one. We use it a lot, but it doesn't belong to me. By understanding, it works off of static electricity rather than EMF bubbles, like a REM pod does. Correct? Is that a static meter? Or more of a motion sensor? Do you think?
I believe it's motion. We've only used it one time, and that was the Conjuring house, and then it broke. So
I thought you fixed it.
No.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, so in its glory, then here's the flux video from the library Conjuring House.
Can you step on the opposite end of the green light for me?
Holy fuck!
Wow.
Holy shit!
Thank you.
Pardon the language. I said
holy.
No,
Shane there said holy flux. He was praising the device.
Absolutely.
I did say shit though, unfortunately.
There. All right. So we kind of wrapped that up with I guess your final impressions of that place. I'm curious because it's in, it's 40 minutes from me. So like, what's your impressions of the place? Good, bad, or indifferent? What do you think you might have to add to this treasure trove of evidence that people take out of it? Is there something that stands out for you that you brought to the party?
I think there's good spirits, and I think there's some negative spirits there because there was the King Philip's War that happened on that land. There's a lot of negativity that happened on that land, but there's also a lot of residual energy that's going to be there. There's a lot of people like the Arnold family that used to live there. There's going to be people that still, like I said before, spirits will always visit places where they spent a lot of time. If they lived at that house, if they farmed on that land, even nearby, if they were part of a war, if they were soldiers that are buried in the wall, or who knows, there there's going to be spirits that mean no harm, but then I do believe that there could be portals there. That definitely feels like, I think we encountered something very negative there, and then I think we encountered spirits that were very informative and very informational.
Andrea will tell you the entire farmhouse is a portal in her mind, you know.
I could see that because the amount of times I felt so sick there. I've never actually been to a place so haunted with that much energy. I was fainting. If Shane was not behind me going up those stairs, I would have cracked my head open and I would have been going to the hospital. The energy there made me dizzy and nauseous, especially upstairs in between, which I don't know if you sent over that picture of the shadow figure. But that I felt something there. I couldn't see that shadow figure with my own eyes, but I felt that there, and I did. It hit me with the door, and you know, with some of my symbol bases that I have, if I start to not feel good, I generally take that as a sign that that's nothing good. Some people say they see two figures here. We just really point out the main one. Some people do say, though, that they see two, one there and one next to it. But what makes this really creepy and impressive is that you can't see through it.
Yeah. All right. We have another one up here, too. That for you. Okay. So if I'm a gambling man, I would say it's that sort of cluster of lights in front of the door on the left of the fireplace.
Yes.
Yep. If you really look too, it almost looks like a hand is
Yeah,
on
right.
the doorway, and you see a little shoulder and a leg. So that's something where that doesn't feel as negative by any means.
So I just want to cover this a little bit more as far as the Conjuring House. And this, we're not going to talk about anything that's happened there, what's transpired, or anything like that. This has nothing to do with that. The actual what's going on. But with all of that said, having, some type of communication with the spirits there, how do you speculate? And I know this is just speculation on your part, probably, but how do you think they feel about all of this now? I mean, there's been a lot of upheaval in their former home.
I always feel that there's some spirits that want to communicate, and then there's going to be some that want to be left alone. It's just like people. There's some people, and then there's people that don't really care to socialize. As far as more negative things go, they'll feed off of people's fear as long as they can. Though, however, when you're not occupying a space, that can actually even lead to negative things just taking over a little bit more in some cases. But I feel like the haunting is going to be relishing in the fact that that home is isolated and alone right now. However, I don't feel like it'll stay that way. I think within a year and a half to 2 years, I do think that somebody is going to come in, step in. But during that time, I think the spirits are going to be extremely active. And by the time that that house is reopened, it is going to be extremely active.
Let's hope that it doesn't deteriorate to the degree without a little TLC there that it becomes prohibitive for anybody to buy it and renovate it or do what needs to be done because it's a very old house.
Yeah.
So I want to wrap this up because I want to bring George back in here. So I want to ask what advice you would give to somebody who, and it's not necessarily say, well, call us, we'll come. But let's say someone who is just out of your jurisdiction, so to speak, just wanted to talk to somebody. They wanted to have somebody believe their story, listen to their story, respect the story because maybe they don't have anybody else to tell. So in that scenario, if someone says, hey, Alex, hey, Shane, I've got some things going on in my house. What can I do about them?
So a lot of times, let's say I'm not really able to, maybe I'm not able to help with the cleansing, or maybe we're not able to do an investigation. A lot of times I start off by telling them to take back your power. Power of command is huge. Boundaries and discernment is huge. Having boundaries. If
Yep.
you can't just have a spirit in your home and think it's cool to have a spirit. If you want to have a stranger come into your home, you do not want a random person spiritually in your home. So I always tell people, you could look up your cultural background to even use herbs or cleansings, a simmer, whatever you choose. If you're religious and you want to go to your church and get blessed holy water, incense, and I will tell people, cleanse your home. Don't be afraid to put your foot down as the homeowner, and tell people who's like, you're not allowed in my home. This doesn't kick out your loved ones. This doesn't mean your loved ones in spirit will not visit you. It just is putting a boundary down that you do not want strangers in your home, whether they're physically here or spiritually.
Right. I mean, if you've got an 8-room house and you're afraid to go in 5 of those rooms, then you kind of need to step up a little bit. So I'm going to turn you back over to George. Thank you again. We'll be back to close things up in a little while. George, take it away.
Thanks a lot again, Ken. Shane, I am about to talk specialty with you. As Ken mentioned earlier, I cut my teeth doing many, many, many spirit box sessions. And there are 2 rules that I would love for you to apply when you're doing your sessions, because the reward is just undescribable. And that is applying trigger words and redundant response. Trigger words basically meaning, because you are scanning either AM or FM, things are going to come across. As an example, you could say, how many spirits are here? And you get a number. Well, that could be the temperature, that could be a sports score, that could be number of people killed in a car accident. It's just too random to come across there. But if you use words that are not normally, and which can include also profanity, but if you use elephant or philanthropist or something of multiple consonants that you could at least listen for, and then request the second thing, which is redundant response. If it's an answer already given and you want them to respond and say it again over and over, repetitive response, that so helps validate your ears and validates your evidence by approaching that aspect of it. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've done spirit box sessions where we'll ask a question, and then like Beyonce's "Single Ladies" comes on. Obviously, it's a radio. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Do you scan predominantly on AM or FM?
Let me check what it's on now. I want to say it's, just to make sure, it's on FM.
Okay. Yeah, you'll get Beyonce on FM. Doubt it you'll get it on AM. Mostly talk radio on there. But yeah, just experiment with that, and I'd love to hear back from you on the next session that you do, whether or not that helps within your evidence collection, because it's been absolutely amazing for me using something like that. Now, I want to get into, not that I'm trying to market, Alex, what you do and your abilities. We already talked about commissioning your paintings, but now let's talk about readings. You do readings for people, and if they want to, and I know, of course, and it's rightfully so that you have prices set up for that. Where can they make bookings with you? Is it the same aspect of getting commission paintings?
Yep, you guys can just message me on Facebook, Instagram. There's actual contact information where you can actually just text me. But messaging me works perfectly fine. I usually don't see TikTok messages too easily. But yeah, I love what I do. I think it's just a different type of healing that you can't go to a doctor to get. You're seeing people heal in real time. So yeah.
I wonder whether or not, because this is not, even though, and I'm sure Shane, if he's not experienced it yet, will begin to experience it. The more that you do this, the more that your sixth sense becomes honed, sharpened, more awakened than when you first start in this field. But when you're doing this and you're doing readings, do you come across some that you say this is going to be more like an investigation? What you're dealing with has to, we have to intercede. This is not just a reading about your romance or your job. There's something else here. Has that happened?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there will be times where I'm doing a reading, I'm picking up on someone's loved one, and I start their loved one, even on the other side, will start to tell me, something's going on in my family's home. And there's been times where I've intervened and just started to pick up on what was going on in the home, actually. And that did turn into a residential case or a paranormal consult where we do end up writing stuff down or possibly going. That happened. We actually have that evidence. What is that one called? A family calls paranormal nightmare is what we called that one. Where this family was just having like crazy things happen in their home in their family cabin. So there's definitely been cases like that. There's even been I have a student, because I certify people in mediumship. I have a current student even that is in my area, and I'm able to help her investigate, and her home is definitely experiencing some things that are a little out of the ordinary from your regular haunting. So that's going to be something we end up looking into.
One of our Patreon members, who's in the chat tonight, her daughter is just developing, she's in her teenage years, her abilities. And at the beginning, there was a lot of trepidation. There was a lot of, that fear of that interaction. What words can you extend out there to the younger mediums and sensitives, those who are discovering that they have a gift? What words can you extend out to them about developing that gift?
All I can really say is that if you feel like you have abilities, don't doubt yourself, but don't go into it blindly. I would look into grounding, cleansing, and protecting. But what I say for validating your own abilities is when you feel that you're getting something, write it down, because at some point in time you might come across a way where that information gets validated, where you can show yourself, I do have these abilities. Don't doubt yourself, but make sure that you ground, cleanse, and protect yourself, because it can be dangerous, and there are things that will take advantage of our vulnerability. But generally, I encourage people to like tap into that side of themselves, because it's reassuring. It brings a sense of confidence, and I think there's a sense of healing about finding yourself spiritually and energetically. Yeah, it's a different level of consciousness and healing that it brings. So I definitely encourage people, if you have abilities, to do it, but do it safely.
Plus, it's quite contributory. We're talking about whether you're helping the living or helping those who have crossed over. You're giving of yourself, and that's an amazing, rewarding experience, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that can be rewarding in its own, truly. Like being able to give those messages and have that family or that person be feeling lighter after, or feel like they got answers, or there's times where they end up coming to me weeks later because something I didn't say made sense till later, and it ended up helping their family tremendously. It's definitely a rewarding feeling. Yeah.
Let's before we got a couple of questions there in the chat as we round out these amazing 2 hours with you guys. But let's market you one more time, shall we? Tell us about the merch.
Hey guys, we got I'm not good with this. We got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we have socks, SAWKS.
Socks.
We got kids clothes. We got mugs and tumblers. If you want to check it out, if not, okay. we don't promote the merch too often. It's kind of just there if you want to do a little extra support.
Yeah, there's
Or
every
don't push it
once in a
too much.
while where there's people that do watch us regularly that end up wanting to support, and they do. So
It's kind of
Cool
just
about
there,
that.
a little extra kick for us, you know.
No, that's an important part. It really is the support. You get the people around you who love what you do, and love what you present on any of your streaming platforms. It gives you an opportunity to, you know, give them memorabilia, if you will, whether it's a client or whether it's just a patron, whatever it may be. It's important out there. We've never crossed that threshold yet. Ken and I think I still got T-shirts from 15, 16 years ago from Dead Air, but it's not
And if
something we
you
typically
act
promote.
now, a Valak refrigerator magnet will be sent to you free of charge.
Ooh, look at that.
Use the promo code DEAD.
Fridge, get that magnet.
there you go.
Here's a couple of questions from our group. And if you guys have any questions before the end of the show, now's the time to put them in the chat for us. But this one comes from Cosmic Horizon. Has there been any conversation from the other side that stands out to you or sticks with you conversationally?
You know, I want to say that there's been times where their spirit has tried to explain to me, you know, what happens after they pass, or you know, stuff like that. And a lot of times they will tell me that they're with family. A lot of times that's stuck with me. I've wondered, like, what happens when you pass away? Who do you see? And I've had spirit actually tell me and show me that they are reunited with family a lot of times, and that can be consistent of your pets, of family members, pets, friends, family, people that you impacted their life heavily, perhaps. But honestly, there's been just times where telling those really profound, accurate messages where I have no clue what I'm saying, and it ends up being everything that client needed to hear. Those are really profound to me.
How resounding is this statement? It's something I captured. I'll send it to you, Shane, so you can take a listen to it sometime too. But it was a friend of a loved one who had already passed, and the message was, "Don't forget us." How does that resound to you as a medium?
You know, I think that there's certain times where there are people that, if their personality was very much like it, if they were very involved, or if they were that, there could be so many ways that they could be meaning that, like in a joking way, like, hey, don't you forget about me now, or make sure you remember me. It could be a really endearing thing that a loved one is saying.
I understand. Sandy Andrews from our Patreon members account is it just the two of you on your team, or are there more members?
It's just the two of us. We did have a team and we kind of moved away from that. We found it's easier with less people,
Yeah.
less things to keep track of, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was just easier with not only schedules, but just debunking and everything. And I want to say, like, you know, trying to train people how to investigate when you have limited time in a location. That, you know, it kind of can be difficult to try and tell people what to do while you only have so much time to investigate. So it does tend to be easier for us. However, we definitely have talked over renting out a place to do a public investigation where people can come and investigate with us, where that's just something where we'd be prepared to do. So we've definitely talked about that, though.
And finally, from Jeff Hilton, not so much a question as a comment, but to get your perspective on it. Would be cool to have auras checked before and after sessions to see if the investigator's energy is being drained or fed on.
Would be cool to have what does that say?
Have auras checked before and after the session.
Yeah, a lot of times I do. I will actually, what we do anytime we've brought friends or if it's just Shane and I, a lot of times we do just meet up after and we do a complete cleanse, any energy. So I don't do Reiki, but I do energy work. We got involved in some shamanism where we actually went and had to get rites and initiations done. So I will do a lot of energy work and everything. Because your energy can be drained. There can be energetic debris. There can be all different kinds of energy and aura issues, especially, I mean, not just from the dead, but living people as well, depending on places you go. So definitely something that should be looked at.
Do you believe in energy vampires? And if
Yes.
you believe that they exist, how does that work in the environment of a spirit that
So-
also has energy?
So for energy vampires, if we're talking a spirit, it would be just like a person. You generally will feel drained around somebody, or they tend to want to just take from you. And they can do that in multiple different ways. Energy vampirism can be manipulation. It can be glamour. It can be in a sense where they try to come off very however you really would want them to come off as. Basically, that would very charming, I guess you could say. The glamour effect is more of a charm, yeah. So they could use guilt, like, oh, please don't go, I want to keep talking. So there's a lot of different ways where there can be energy vampirism, and it can be spirit or a person. But yeah, in a spirit, they might be guilting you, and that might not be because they have bad intention. That doesn't mean it's demonic by any means. It might just be somebody that went through an emotionally draining time in their life, and so they're clinging to somebody that they're making an emotional connection to.
Amazing. As I get Ken back up on screen with us, we ran through these 2 hours fast with a lot to talk about, and that was enjoyable as hell. I hope you guys enjoyed your time with us.
Oh, absolutely.
We did. We appreciate being on here.
Fantastic.
Well, you have to come back and see us again. Sound like a good deal?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, we have the Ghost Sisters next week, guys. A Patreon Town Hall again tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, as always. We'll see you guys there. Hope to see some new faces also. I know we got some new members that just joined this past week. So we are looking forward to it. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. Shane, Alex, stay right where you're at there for a second. Don't hang up. And the rest of you, have a great evening. Stay warm wherever you're at up north. I'm down here in Florida. My name's George Lopez with Ken DaCosta. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Take care.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees.